everybody, Marty Richards with Greater Richland Tourism here today with another Why Do We Call It That episode. Today in the Greater Richland area, we find ourselves in Fiddlers Green. And for the locals, they're all like, hey, I know where that's at. But for those who are not as associated, we're just a little bit north of Richland Center, and really just off the Pine River, where when you come visit, you'll have to check out the kayaking opportunity there. It is outstanding. So for our Why Do We Call It That episode, we got to step all the way back to 1865 when this area had its first settler show up, John Schoonover. Now John Schoonover showed up and said, hey, it's Schoonover Hollow. That's pretty normal, right? If you're the first settler, you get to name it what you want. And it lasted as Schoonover Hollow for quite some time until the late 1890s. And that's when a story took place that there are two versions of, and we're not sure which one's accurate, so we're going to share both of them with you, just how the name got changed to Fiddlers Green. So legend number one goes, there was a group of young men from Smith Hollow, which actually is just over the hill and by Lloyd, but back in 1890, that was a full day trip to get over here. And they were headed to Fancy Creek. So from Smith Hollow to Fancy Creek, they were headed. They were a group of, you guessed it, fiddlers, a string orchestra that were going to play for a dance in the Fancy Creek area. Well, on their way to Fancy Creek, they got lost. They're horseback, they get lost, it turns dark. So they set up an encampment and they just relax for the rest of the night and start playing their instruments, fiddling. Some locals come upon them because they heard the ruckus and, they had their party right there, basically. And the name then got changed to Fiddlers Green. So that's story number one. Now, story number two is maybe a little less believable, but story number two goes that it was a single fiddler that had played at a gathering or a dance, a local dance, and then he was headed back home from that dance when he got chased by some wild dogs. Now, the reason the wild dogs were chasing him was he was a believer in the barter system. True story, if this is the story. But they had paid him for playing at the dance in ham. You heard me right, ham. That was the commodity of his choice for paying for playing at that dance. Well, the wild dogs apparently got scent of him, chased him to where he had to escape up a tree, climbed up a tree, was hiding from the wild dogs. They were still waiting, so he had nothing else to do while he waited, started playing his fiddle, until some locals came along, scared the dogs away, and then he could get down, hence then it got the name Fiddlers Green. Now, both of these stories do exist back in the old newspapers. Originally it was uncovered by Margaret Helen Scott, who you might recall we use as some of the basis for some of our stories. And this was reprinted back in the 1970s through some of her research. We're just not sure which one of them is the accurate telling of how Fiddlers Green got its name, but you take the pick. They're both pretty entertaining regardless. So we're glad you joined us. We encourage that you follow us on YouTube. A lot of our different Why Do We Call It That episodes are housed there, and you can go out and check them out at any time that you would like. Also, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. So we hope to see you soon here in the Greater Richland area. For Greater Richland Tourism, I'm Marty Richards. Let's everybody have a great day.